I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people at churches and universities about the scientific evidence for the existence of God, including the Big Bang origin of the universe and the fine-tuning of the universe. And when I give these talks, I often am asked the question of what I think about the theory of evolution. Welcome to the 20th video in the series about the book, The Creator Revealed. And in this video, we look at the very last addendum to the book, Addendum B, which I call the E word. Now, I'm an experimental particle physicist. I'm not a geneticist or a biologist. And so when I talk about evolution, I'm not an expert, but I do have some thoughts on it. First of all, the issue of whether or not the Big Bang occurred is entirely separate from the issue of whether or not evolution, particularly macroscopic evolution, occurred. There are Christians called young Earth creationists who don't believe that the Big Bang occurred or believe that evolution occurred. But there are other Christians called progressive creationists or old Earth creationists who believe that God used the Big Bang to create the universe 14 billion years ago, but did not use evolution to create human beings. Those two things don't go together necessarily, that the universe is 14 billion years old, the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and that evolution occurred. And then, of course, there are Christians who are called evolutionary creationists who believe that God did use evolution as the method for creating humans. And all these are possible from a biblical viewpoint. Now, as a scientist who's an experimental particle physicist, it takes a whole lot of evidence, of scientific evidence, for me to accept something as true. In particle physics, we only say that we've observed something, that we've discovered something, if there's a 1 in 3.5 million chance that we've actually not discovered it, that what we're seeing is not a real effect. In biology, there are no such things as 1 in 3.5 million chances that what you've observed is correct. And so when it does come to evolution, I'm somewhat skeptical, not as a Christian. I think as a Christian, evolution could be biblical, but I do have some skepticism as a scientist. There is no evidence or no model that works for how life was originally created. What was the origin of life? There are gaps in the fossil record that seem to not show the same kind of gradualistic change that you would expect if evolution were correct. And of course, the DNA content, the information content in DNA is tremendous. Whenever we see such information content, we infer that there is some intelligence behind it. So although I believe the universe is 14 billion years old and the Earth is 4.5 billion years old and life has been on the Earth for about 4 billion years, I'm skeptical that the current theory of evolution works. And so as a scientist, we will keep looking at this, knowing that there are Christians who are evolutionary creationists and progressive creationists, and that the evidence points, to me mostly right now, to progressive creationism. But God can do what He wants, and we shall continue to explore the evidence for how God created life. What we do know is that humans are special. We know that out of all the creatures God created, only one creature really learns and thinks and creates new things and passes them to their offspring. Every other creature does things by instinct. We know that only one creature has a spiritual aspect. God breathed into humans the breath of life and made humans a living creature that's spiritually alive. And so as we close this last addendum to the book, what we do know is that God created humans special. They're the last and ultimate creation. They're the last animal creature that appeared on earth. And the characteristics that allow humans to commune with God are unlike any other creatures He created on the face of this planet.